Christopher Norris from mining.com.au. Joining me today is Jon Dugdale, CEO of Sabre Resources. Jon, great to see you.
G'day, Christopher.
Jon, soil samples back from Sabre's Cave Hill project today. Can you unpack what you found so far?
Yeah, so we've just started the program at our Cave Hill project. We've got about 100 kilometres of strike of a brand new greenstone belt, mostly under shallow soil cover. And we've got quite a major program of soil sampling looking for lithium-bearing pegmatites underneath that veneer of soil. And that's why we're using the soil sampling technique, just to detect those low levels of lithium that may be leaking through to the surface. So we've only really done about a third of the program. It's covered those northern two tenements, and the initial results have been very encouraging.
The in-soil anomalies identified lie in proximity to the notable Kangaroo Hills lithium discovery of Future Battery Minerals. How significant is this geographical proximity?
It is very significant because we've got about 100 kilometres of extensions of the same geological belt, effectively. Now, the Kangaroo Hills discovery is where the lithium-bearing rocks actually stick out of the ground a little bit, and so they were able to find, subcropping lithium-bearing pegmatites that have very good values of lithium in them in that intersection. You can see from Future Battery Minerals is a very good example. Now, having those extensions in an untested area means we could have several of those style of deposits just sitting there under soil cover. And so the initial soil sampling results are indicating that we've got at least 3 of them in the northern areas that justify further testing.
And with initial sampling done on the northern tenements, what do you expect from ongoing sampling, and how will it guide your drilling plans?
So this is just the initial stage of work on those northern tenements. We have another 3 areas where we have granted tenements that include what we've interpreted as being quite large and extensive greenstone lithologies. Now, they're the types of lithologies that host these lithium-bearing pegmatites. We can see them in the magnetics, but they're covered by a bit of soil cover. So if anything, the geology looks even better to the south, where we haven't even completed the sampling yet. So we look forward with great anticipation on receiving those samples and also defining other areas. Now, the first stage is a fairly broad-spaced grid of sampling, 400 metres by 400 metres. These pegmatites can be, 5 to 10 metres thick. So that's obviously a very coarse filter. But now that we've defined anomalous areas, and we hopefully will get more anomalous areas in the future sampling, we can go in and focus down the sampling to a much smaller spacing and do a little bit of reconnaissance to see if there might well be small outcrops and things that we can sample. And then the next stage is drilling. We would initially do some air core drilling, but we just need to get the anomalies down to a point where we can actually cover the highest grade sample locations with a drill section or 2.
And Jon, the news today is on the back of recent diamond drilling over at Sherlock Bay. What can investors look forward to news-wise from Sabre Resources coming into 2024?
So at Sherlock Bay, we've already got a major nickel sulfide resource of over 100,000 tonnes of nickel metal contained in the resource. But what our focus has been up there is finding extensions of that deposit and also looking for higher grade mineralisation. And the good news from the recent drilling, and we've got the first couple of holes back, is that we've actually hit a new zone, a brand new discovery. It's at least 500 metres long, and it includes some massive sulfide zones. And we're still waiting on the results from those zones to come through. So that offers the opportunity to not only build the resource space at Sherlock Bay, but also to potentially upgrade it overall. It comes on the back of some very successful drilling we did last year. But the other thing at our Sherlock Bay project is we're about to expand the tenement holding there to over sort of 700 square kilometres or so. And it lies directly along corridor, about 50 kilometres to the east from the major Andover lithium discovery, which has been producing, intersections of very good grade lithium over 200 metres thick. And we've got, again, soil covered areas that haven't been explored for lithium before because the soil cover has held back the explorers from being able to test undercover. So both at Cave Hill and at our Sherlock Bay project, we have identical geology to the areas that have, major lithium discoveries. But the only difference is ours is under a bit of soil cover. And so that's why we're going to be doing the same sort of programs at Sherlock Bay, looking for new lithium discoveries, including the soil sampling and then future drilling that we are planning to do at Cave Hill.
That was Jon Dugdale, CEO of Sabre Resources. Jon, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Christopher.